Good morning. At least once a year, I do a show about this topic, and it is about the human papilloma virus, the virus that causes cervical cancer in women, head, neck, and all kinds of other cancers in men. And I do this show just to make sure that everybody remembers that the human papilloma virus, which causes cancer, there is a vaccine for that. We have the opportunity in this country for the generation of children coming up, 11 and 12-year-old, is when you're supposed to be getting your Gardisil vaccine to eradicate the HPV virus. And it's so important, and it's the vaccine that so many parents refuse to get. And the only reason parents refuse to get this vaccine is because attached to HPV is sexually transmitted. And parents lose their minds. I'm not vaccinating my 11-year-old for a sexually transmitted disease. My little angel is not going to have sex until her wedding night. Yeah, okay. Keep dreaming, first of all. Mommy, keep dreaming. But also be realistic. Because here's a study that might interest you who believe that your little girl is going to save herself for her wedding night and be a virgin on her wedding night. There was a study done with a group of virgins, never had actual intercourse. 51% of them tested positive for HPV, the human papilloma virus. They have it. They have never had intercourse. You know what I'm talking about. They've never had intercourse. They were virgins. And they have this virus. And that also means that they can spread this virus when they do have sex. How did they get this virus, you ask? Well, I did actually try to research this for you guys because I knew you'd be asking, especially my smart viewers. And to be honest with you, I couldn't find the answer. I tried to find out how the human papilloma virus originated, what caused it to start. And I don't have the answer, just like we don't have the answer really of how AIDS started. And don't even start with blaming gay people because that's not actually how it started. But we are going to do a comparison during this show of HPV and HIV, AIDS. And I'm just going to remind any haters out there who want to start talking about it being a gay disease, HIV, the very first victim of AIDS was a woman, a heterosexual woman in Germany. And I know that for a fact because I have done a lot of research on that topic. So no, here's the thing. If we had a vaccine for HIV, for AIDS, I'd like to ask you parents out there who are on the fence about getting your child the HPV vaccine, would you give your child an HIV vaccine? Now let's remember what AIDS is. It isn't just a gay disease. You don't just get it from anal sex. You don't just get it from sex, okay? Little babies get AIDS. People who have major surgery get AIDS from blood transfusions. And it's really actually hard to get AIDS. Really hard. It's hard. It's much easier to get HPV, human papilloma virus. Very easy to get. And I'm going to explain that. I have it all written down right here. I have researched this show. HIV is spread through blood. Blood and semen. So technically, if you bleed on me and you have AIDS, right here, I'm good. I probably will not get AIDS. But if I have, see, I have a scratch right here. I have a little scratch on my arm. If you have AIDS and you spit or bleed into that cut, I could be in trouble. But that's how hard it is. I mean, Really, come on. Who's going to spit on my cut or bleed on my cut? That would be how hard it would be for me to get AIDS. But I swear to God, if they had a vaccine for it, I'd get it. I'd get it tomorrow. And I'd give it to my children if I had children. HPV, and I'm going to, I rarely do this, but I need to read this because it's important for you parents especially to know. HPV is actually spread through the fluids that line your mouth, your throat, and your genital tracts. HPV, human papillomavirus, can be spread from touching, hand to genital contact. You can spread HPV that way. You don't have to do the dirty deed that so many parents are afraid their kids are going to want to do once they get the vaccine. Hand to genital contact. That's how it's spread. I had something else here. Hand to genital contact. Deep kissing. If you're swapping spit with your boyfriend or girlfriend, that could transmit HPV. Here's some statistics that might actually really scare you. First of all, you guys out there who think that this is a female issue, that us women, we're the ones who should get tested. Actually, there is a test for women. I've had it 4 times because remember the show I did? I told you that back in the day in 2006, really long time ago, proving even more that this was a mistake, they told me I had HPV. Planned Parenthood told me, oh, I had abnormal pap smear, I had HPV. Well, I've had 4 HPV tests, and I've scrambled them just to make sure, because they say, oh, it can sit in your system dormant. And I've been with my husband now for 22 years, only my husband. So I've had 4 HPV tests since 2006, all of them blissfully negative. So I don't have HPV. But guess what? If you're a man, there's no way you know. And in fact, to be honest with you, my husband could have HPV, and we just don't know it. When a man is infected with HPV, he has no symptoms. There is no preventive test or screening. When a woman goes to her OBGYN and gets a pap smear, that's usually how they find HPV, but there's no test like that for a man. And guess who is being most affected right now by HPV, the human papillomavirus? It's men. It's you guys out there. I read this story of a man who has been married 21 years. He has 3 healthy children, and he found a lump on his neck when he was shaving. And it turned out that he had throat cancer. Sad, bad throat cancer, stage 4, like Michael Douglas. And what they told him was he did have HPV, and he most likely got the HPV in college. This is a 40-something-year-old dude. He got married, had kids, and oh, here comes the HPV I got because I was being a college kid. I went on a date. I slept with a couple girls in college. He even said, I'm not promiscuous. I don't cheat on my wife. But he has it anyway. And now I'm assuming his poor wife probably is getting tested for it as well. Because chances are she probably has it too. But there's no test for the man. There are going to be this year more diagnoses of throat cancer and neck cancer in men than there will be cervical cancer in women. That's a big eye-opener for you guys out there. And I know my YouTube guys, I'm looking out for you guys. I have a lot of YouTube followers, subscribers who are guys. And they count on me to be honest with them and warn them about things. This is dangerous, dudes. This is really important that you men think about this. And you men who are fathers, think about getting your children vaccinated. Because here's another statistic. 11 million men and 3 million women were infected with the oral form of human papillomavirus between 2011 and 2014. That's in 3 years. It's an epidemic. Recently, there was a story on the news that there is a huge epidemic of throat, neck, and penile cancer. You all know what that is? That's cancer of your penis in men that has been attributed to the HPV virus. And this vaccine that can be done, it has to be done before you're exposed. You cannot go out right now, you dudes out there and you ladies out there watching this. If you are over 26 years old and you've had sex with somebody, probably not a great, it won't work. The important time to vaccinate against HPV for both boys and girls is 9 to 12 years old. And doctors should be asking, dentists even, they're asking dentists because dentists see so many kids. Ask the parents when they bring their kids in for their cleaning, have you vaccinated against HPV? Shame these parents into saying, no, I haven't, because I don't want my kid to think it's okay to go out and have sex. Guess what? Your kids are going to have sex. You may be very lucky and never be exposed to HIV/AIDS. My chances of being exposed to AIDS are minuscule. But I'm going to tell you, I know for a damn fact that I've been exposed to HPV. The first time I had sex, I was exposed to HPV. Do I know for a fact? No, because men can't be tested. So what am I going to do? You know, it's funny. I used to ask my partners if they've had an AIDS test, but now women should ask, have you had an HPV test? And men should ask the same. But again, there's no test for men. So we need to be very vigilant about this, people, and stop putting this stigma on a vaccine simply because it also says to prevent a sexually transmitted cancer. Cancer is the capital letters there, not sexually transmitted. Cancer. Cancer. And for you parents out there who are real religious or believe that your little girl ain't never going to sleep around or never going to have sex unless it's the most perfect boy and all healthy, yeah, he's going to be perfect, think about it. You who think that the most important thing in your life is for your daughter to get married, whether she's a virgin or a wedding night or not, really, it's 2018. Stop worrying about that because you're going to be so disappointed. But don't you maybe want grandchildren? Well, if your daughter gets stage 4 cervical cancer when she's 24, chances are you're never going to be a grandma because she's going to have her reproductive organs removed. If your son gets throat or neck cancer, do you want your son to be talking through a voice box for the rest of his life? If he gets penile cancer, do you want him to be sterile and never be able to make a grandchild for you? These are the things you should be thinking about instead of worrying that, oh, if I give my kid a vaccine when they're 11, for some reason they're going to know that vaccine, I mean, it's just a shot, for God's sake. You don't have to tell them, this is a shot so you can have lots of sex. And here's something else that I have to say, because I'm a little incorrect today. It's been kind of an interesting week. I've had a family kind of thing going on where my cousin was severely injured in a car accident. We're all very worried about him. That's on my Facebook page. But I'm going to be a little incorrect here and just say, you know what? People who are constantly worried that their children are going to have sex, well, I would stop worrying, because I can tell you for a fact, yes, your children are going to have sex. They're going to have sex. And they're not going to ask your permission first. They probably won't even tell you about it after, unless you really have a great relationship with your kids. So don't you want them to be as protected as they possibly can be? Because, you know, even if you're really heavily religious and you think that sex before marriage is a sin. Well, God will forgive that, right? That's a forgivable thing. Cancer, not so much. Cancer isn't forgiving. Once your child, male or female, has HPV, they have it forever. It doesn't go away. It may be dormant, but it can still be spread. It's a ticking time bomb in their bodies for the rest of their lives. And some of these kids are being infected with human papillomavirus at the age of 16, 17, 18, with their first sexual encounter. It's happening. And for the rest of their lives, they have a ticking time bomb going out throughout their body. And it can show up in their throat, in their neck, in their anus, in their vagina, in their cervix, in their penis. Yeah, I'm using big words, aren't I? Big words. Oh, we can't let the children watch. Jesus wouldn't like it. Well, I have to believe that Jesus doesn't like it when people who can prevent something horrible from happening are too stupid to do it in his name. Jesus loved all the little children. This is how we protect our children, and we protect their future. They get a couple doses of a vaccine at the doctor's office when they're 11 years old. They don't need to know the name of it. They don't need to know what it's for. It's a shot. They're kids. They get shots all the time. It's a shot. And it's going to save their life. Very possibly save their life, especially with these numbers. Right now, I'm looking at these numbers and I'm thinking, my God, how many people are infected with HIV, AIDS? I think these HPV numbers are starting to catch up. And that should scare you, especially because HPV is easily spread, more easily than HIV. Now, there are going to be some people, if you do some research, they say, oh, if you're a smoker, of course, let's blame smoking for a virus, right? It's like blaming someone who gets AIDS. Well, you smoked, that's why you got AIDS. No, I got a blood transfusion, and the blood transfusion was infected with HIV, and that's how I got AIDS. So people are trying to compare to say that smoking makes it you're more susceptible to HPV. Bull, I call BS. I call BS on that. And I call BS only because back in 2006, when I had my scare, I started talking to my girlfriends. And it's not something that you go out for lunch with your girlfriends and they're like, oh, you know what? Yeah, I had a bad pap smear. Oh my God, I have the HPV. Do you have the... But when I got it, I started talking to my girlfriends. And lo and behold, I was shocked to find out that almost every woman I know, 90% of which are non-smokers, have never smoked a cigarette in their life. They have had a bad pap smear, an abnormal pap smear, or they have actually been diagnosed with HPV. And they never smoked a cigarette in their life. So don't even let anybody start saying that as long as you never smoke a cigarette, we don't need to vaccinate you because it's smoking that causes that HPV. And it's being promiscuous that causes that HPV. Ask the 42-year-old guy married 21 years who had a couple girlfriends in college, like most college guys do. Ask him if he was a male whore, because he wasn't. Ask him if he thinks that his behavior caused him to get neck cancer, stage 4, have to go through all this crap, have to have half his throat removed. Ask him if he thinks he deserved that for just being a normal college kid. And ask him if there had been a vaccine when he was 11, if he would have wanted his mom and dad to get it for him so that he wouldn't have had to go through this at this time in his life. It's going to be up to you in the end, but I strongly urge you, I swear to God, if they told me today I could get the Gardisil vaccine, and even if I had been exposed to HPV, it would kill it if it's in my body. I mean, I know my tests were clean, but still, if I could get vaccinated for that or for HIV, I would go get the shot this minute. I would be calling for an appointment. Please, don't let of fear of your children growing up and becoming sexually active stop you from saving them from a life-threatening illness, a life-threatening virus, a ticking time bomb in their little bodies as they grow up. Because I'm going to promise you this, just like the commercials, they're going to ask, did you know, Mom, Dad, that there was a vaccine that could have protected me from the suffering that I'm going through now because I have cancer? Did you know? I'm sure you did, right? Because if you did, I'm sure you would have protected me. Right? Have a good weekend, everybody. Please send love and prayers to Ryan Stallings. He is my cousin. He is in very serious condition after a car accident this week. There is information on that on my Facebook page, but we always want to remember those who are suffering. It was a terrible accident on black ice, and he's in pretty bad shape. So please send your love and prayers to him and his family. Have a good weekend, and please be safe. Accidents can happen anytime, anywhere. That's why they're called accidents. We don't plan for them. We don't know that they're coming. And all we can do is reach out to the community to pray for us and keep us in your thoughts. So, Ryan, we're pulling for you here at Political Paula. You're a strong kid. You're going to come back strong. Have a great weekend. See you back here Tuesday. Political Paula, out.